All right, Coach, spring update near the end of it here. So give us an update of where you are.
Well, I am very, very pleased that I've seen that we have improved in pretty much every aspect of it. There's always some work that we have to do. I first want to start off that we kind of had some most improved players that we kind of gave out an award. Most improved offensive football player we had this spring here was Frank Boyd. Will be a redshirt freshman running back. I mean, he was outstanding this year and probably again, we always knew he had some talent. We thought he might have been initially maybe just a year away or something, but man, he has played very, 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 very well. So again, I hope he continues to do that same jump here in the last 3 or 4 weeks he's done. If he does that here this summer, I think he's going to be somebody that's going to be reckoned with, no question about it. There, he's definitely going to get some reps there this season, and he'll be vying for that starting job there as a running back. Most improved defensive player we had, Mitchell Hurtado, will be a defensive tackle and also a guy who was a junior college transfer from last year, and he got 1 year left. And he was a guy who didn't play a whole lot last year, played a little bit of just a utility role, but he's vying into trying to be starting at the defensive tackle position. Really did a lot of good things there for us. Got off blocks, was very impressive of how he's using his hands, shedding blocks, getting off the blocks and making tackles. So very, very impressed by what he had to do. Special teams, most improved special teams player there is Remington Green, linebacker, sophomore here from the Virginia area. And again, he can run. Did a lot of good things on defense, did a lot of good things on special teams. He's definitely going to be vying also right at the top there is for the linebacker position. So he can run, he's physical, played fast, and that's what we like to see out of people as far as in that perspective. Then we had the one last reward, we call it the Luke 252 award, where the scriptures talks about that Jesus increased in his wisdom and his stature and his favor with God and people. And the person that we thought that best represented really in the last year, but really in the last 4 or 5 years that he was here, went to Trey Turner, who was a graduate person here, graduate student. He's already got his degree, and matter of fact, he's already employed and working in the field as far as financial area there. So those were the 3 or 4 awards that we had given out to our players. It was very, very exciting for those young men and exciting for our football team. We had our last scrimmage. Had about 6, 7 touchdowns by the offense. There was 2 turnovers. I had one caused fumble, which that caused fumble was another one of those great plays from a defensive perspective. Had one of our receivers there for his Stubbs caught a pass. He was really getting ready to score a touchdown. And Jeremy Peters ended up knocking the ball out. Again, we unfortunately from a coach's perspective and offensively, you don't want to see that. Right before he get inside the 5-yard line, the ball got punched out and he ended up not scoring, and the ball went out of the end zone. So great play by Jeremy Peters. Didn't give up on the play and punched it out. Obviously not a very good play from Stubbs. Our defense has done that, I think, just about in every scrimmage that we've had. And what I mean from a goal line in the red zone area, they have not given up some points. They've given up some field goals. They've also have had turnovers. As a matter of fact, another play they had an interception by Amari Jenkins there right there on the 1-yard line on a great play by him. Had a man-to-man coverage and intercepted a pass. So there were some good things on both sides of the ball, offense and defensively, as far as the scrimmage. I think we have improved. Our offensive guys have done some good things. Quarterbacks have been all pretty solid. Our secondary, I think Malik Matthews is probably one guy that really has done a fantastic job. There's many others, but the bottom line is I can sit here and say that every single football player improved from the first day to the last day. We got practice today. We're going to have a practice tomorrow, and then we'll be done for our spring football practice.
Defensive line, a lot of new faces there. How's that rotation coming and the depth? Is it getting to where you want it to be?
Well, I like what we're doing. I think all of them improve. You mentioned a little bit about Mitchell Hurtado and Vincent Elefante, a new guy, defensive tackle that we just got here in the spring. I think he's going to be somebody to reckon with. Devin Pearson's the other young man that came in here as a spring in January. Both of those guys going to give us a lot of good work. They need to get in probably better shape, if I had to say one thing to stand out, which that's understandable. They just got here in January. We only had about 3 weeks for them to kind of get some conditioning, but they'll be ready to go here for full force when we get into the fall. So those 2 guys did a really good job there as far as that goes. And Tolan Avery there had a sack this last scrimmage, and Jawan Wells has been very, very solid. So I think the biggest thing is probably getting more depth, probably at the defensive end position. I think I like what we're going to be at in the interior side of it. We did have a recruit, Jesse Lomanier. We expected him to come in here and do some good things from that perspective. And then we also had a guy by the name of Dylan Gill, another junior college kid that we're going to have coming in here. So I think that's going to help solidify for us on the defensive end position.
On the offensive line, you guys talked about, I believe earlier in the spring, talked about moving Ethan Crawford over from the right tackle position where he was over to left guard. Who do you have on that, on Calvert's eye side to protect him on that end, and who have you guys been working with there?
Well, I think we've quite a few guys there. I guess a little bit, 2 or 3 guys, I should say, there as far as solid on the left tackle. We're going to have Lozano being there, and on the right tackle, we've been having Schultz. Passmore, Crawford has still been getting a few reps there, also at the tackle spot. He's playing mainly at the guard, but we got 2 or 3 guys that we have playing that position, and we'll just kind of see how it all unfolds. But I really like what Coach Stam has been doing with our offensive line. I think there's been some continuity there. There's been some good things that they've been doing, playing well together. They've been running the ball there, creating holes as far as the packages that they've been doing. And I think Coach Daly's done a very good job as far as the certain little things that we're doing a little bit different on technique with the offensive line. So I think Coach Stam has done a fantastic job. Again, we know that we got to get better, playing a higher level as far as every weekend. So we got to have an offensive line to be able to do some things for us. We got to be able to run the ball more efficiently as far as hopefully can be averaging somewhere around 4 yards a carry. No matter how many times we run it, if we can be around that area, then that's going to give us a better chance to be successful.
Spoke highly of Frank Boyd. How's the rest of the running back room looking?
I think everybody's doing good. Hickson has been solid. It's just that Boyd probably giving him a little bit more because he's just have done a lot of better things from that perspective. Unfortunately, Kentori Matthews there, he ended up having a little bit of a lower leg injury there, and so he got held out here in the last week and a half, I would say. But he's been fantastic as far as when he's able to run as far as the springtime. Then after that, we got some people that we had walk-ons trying to see what they can do, and we're just going to continue to got one more spot from a scholarship side of it that we're continuing to recruit and seeing if there's another person that may be out there as we continue here in the running back position.
From a kick return perspective, you didn't work on that a lot, but through the drills that you guys have done in terms of segments, who's really stood out and who do you want back there, especially if Hickson gets the starting nod at running back?
Well, as far as kickoff return, I don't think that's all settled at this point in time. We got plenty of people that we're going to be working with. I think the one deal we kind of worked a little bit with Cephas Reddick as a punt returner. He's able to catch the ball very, very well, and got Stubbs there definitely, and B.J. Farrell's the other guy. So that was the only thing we maybe just kind of looked at that we hadn't done before was having Cephas Reddick be a punt returner, and again, he could also eventually can be a kickoff returner too. So we'll get that solidified a little bit more when we get back here in the fall camp.
I know you mentioned maybe bringing another punter in during the summer. How confident do you feel in Aiden Alves, or even if Probert had to step in and punter with those guys if it was time to play football in September?
Well, I think, again, we feel confident that he's going to be able to do it. He hasn't done it yet as far as in a game. We are going to get another punter. We haven't decided on that specific person at this point in time, but Proberts has done some punting as far as that goes, but he primarily would be a backup guy. We hoping somebody can come in here and continue to have competition. Competition is always good, but Aiden has been pretty good. There's been some good days and maybe not so good days as far as being the consistency as far as hitting the punts during our practices. So we feel confident in his ability. We're going to give him an opportunity and see what he can do.
Coach, what impact do you think the 10th assistant will have in college football? And for you, Aaron Wilkins, heard a lot about him even before he was added as the 10th. And what impact has he had on your program?
Well, I think each head coach is going to look at it in a different perspective. Some people are going to have it as a special teams guy. That's all he coaches. That's all he does. I've chosen not to go that route. I kind of want to have another person on the defensive side of the ball specifically to help our defense. I thought that would be the best thing for us. I want to see our defense improve. Aaron Wilkins has done a very good job there as far as being a GA. Even he was a volunteer here and done a lot of great things behind the scenes, and he's deserved and honored to have this opportunity, and I'm glad he's on our side because he can coach, he can teach, he can develop, he can recruit. So he's a right fit for us. He's already done a fantastic job in so many different ways behind the scenes, and I think he's going to help our defense because that was a question I asked is, what can I do to help us to be better on defense? And I thought that was the best thing for us to do, and he's going to help us out, and there will be a few other adjustments. We got 2 more GAs we're going to end up hiring sometime later in the summer, and then we'll kind of make some adjustments from there.
Pro Day coming up tomorrow. How much will you be spending time watching those guys and see how they do?
Yeah, we'll be around and checking them out. I think we really got about 5 or 6 guys going to end up participating in it, and all we want to do is just give them an opportunity. Again, we think we have some guys that have a great opportunity to play, but again, it's up to those scouts to make those decisions. Eventually, the general manager kind of make those decisions and all that, and we're going to be cheering them on and give them an opportunity to do their best. And I know they're all excited and prepared for it. And I want to thank Liberty University, and obviously I want to say President Falwell for the indoor facility. Obviously, that's going to be outstanding for them to have an opportunity to showcase their skills.
You mentioned possibly a redshirt and Mason Cunningham. Is that something you may wait until the fall to make that decision?
Yeah, that decision's not going to make today or here in the springtime. We'll kind of go into the fall camp and probably won't be made up until probably the first ball game and maybe even later.